of July, Andy.
Thanks, Amanda. You too.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
9 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Amanda Dixon. KSL's top story this hour. UDOT says you could run into some delays today as you head out for the holiday weekend. They're predicting up to 10-minute delays on I-15 in Salt Lake County and northbound I-15 in Davis County between about 2 o'clock this afternoon and until 7 o'clock tonight.
If you can get up and leave earlier, if you can leave before the afternoon, great. And even if you can leave later after 7 p.m., that'll help not only you, but it'll help everybody traveling.
UDOT spokesperson Mitch Shaw says tells Inside Sources most people should steer clear of delays on Sunday. But on US 6 near Wellington, he says westbound drivers could see delays of 45 minutes or more Sunday afternoon and evening. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. The House is set to pass the GOP massive tax policy bill ahead of the president's July 4th deadline. ABC News national correspondent Stephen Portnoy has the latest from Washington.
The bill would extend and expand the 2017 tax cuts and hugely ramp up spending on border security and immigration enforcement. Republican holdouts dropped their objections overnight. Top House Democrat Hakeem Jeffries used his privilege as minority leader to speak without limit. He railed against the bill for hours.
On behalf of the American people, on behalf of their health care.
The Congressional Budget Office estimates some 12 million Americans could lose their coverage as a result of changes in the bill to Medicaid and the Affordable Care Act. Stephen Portnoy, ABC News, Washington.
Your money at this moment. The Dow is up 357 right now. We're at 44,842. Coming up, we've got rain in the forecast. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 9:02. A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
Progressive knows when you're on your boat, you're already on vacation. And Vacation You forgets all your worries. Vacation You doesn't even keep track of time and knows that time is a meaningless construct designed to control us, man. But Regular You knows you don't want to be too far out in the water after the sun goes down because Vacation You doesn't know how to navigate in the dark yet. Vacation You and Regular You really need to get on the same page. So bundle your boat with your home or auto policy and earn an automatic discount from Progressive. And spend the savings on the both of you. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers. Not available in all states or situations.
Staples presents That Was Easy.
So I was taking my side hustle full-time.
Bold move, my friend.
And I needed to find everything in one stop.
Like finding Bigfoot riding a unicorn.
Yes, so I hit the Staples Easy button. Staples had everything for a new office and print services for signs and brochures. Plus, Cindy, the Staples associate, helped me find the best tech for me.
Wait, no drama?
No, Staples made it easy.
For the products, services, and experts your business needs. Staples.
That was easy.
In-store, online, and on the app.
Hey, this is Dan, the laptop man from PC Laptops. Let me tell you an amazing story. Last week, a customer came in. They were a creative director for an agency, and they were frustrated that their old, slow computer wasn't processing their files quick enough. He had a big project due and could not afford any delays. Well, we hooked him up with one of our new, powerful 2025 desktops for only $999, and he was able to complete his project with ease. Take one home today. The new 2025 S1 desktop or SM3 laptop for only $999. You heard that right, $999. You get a blazing fast processor, 16 gigs of RAM, and over a terabyte of blazing storage for $999. What else do you get? Lifetime service warranty, and we have 12 months special financing on approved credit. Hurry in right now because supplies are limited, because at PC Laptops, we love you. Just check us out at PCLaptops.com. $999, PCLaptops.com.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Mountain America's Double Rewards credit card promotion. And here's Heather Kelly.
Well, we still have lane restrictions on I-80 and SR-36 out in Tooele County, but right now there's not enough traffic to cause any delays. You're also going to see the lane restrictions in Provo Canyon, and from time to time it really slows people down as they head eastbound toward Vivian Park. Right now you're at speed through that area, and you're going to be at speed pretty much everywhere else across the Wasatch Front and Wasatch Back right now, but we are starting to see a lot more traffic get on the roadways than we did even half an hour ago. From system install to fast fixes to deliver, award-winning heating, cooling, plumbing, and electrical. Call Whipple Service Champions for the win today. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
We'll have a high of 88 degrees today with a chance of thunderstorms today and tomorrow, clearing out on Saturday. Right now, it is cloudy and 78 degrees. I'm Amanda Dixon from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
Good morning. We're following Congress right now, who are debating the big, beautiful bill. We've had Hakeem Jeffries talking for how long now?
I think it's 6 hours now.
6 hours. Maybe going for the record here. We should have news for you before the show ends, but we'll see how that goes. But in the meantime, I think more importantly, tomorrow
it's a holiday weekend.
Coming. Yeah, it's a holiday weekend coming up. I'm going to get on the road this afternoon. I'm lucky to have KSL meteorologist Matt Johnson with us. Matt, tell me what I'm looking for today if I'm driving south this afternoon.
Yeah, if you're driving south, you're going over any mountain passes, you probably have a pretty good chance of seeing some thunderstorms in the afternoon.
Wow.
So it's gonna take time for these storms to bubble up, but they'll start in the mountains, try to drift into the valleys.
Nice. So when I left my house this morning in Utah County, I had rain. It smelled so good.
Oh yeah, a little. Hey, fun fact: it's called petrichor.
The smell?
The smell of rain.
I did not know that.
Kind of fun.
Thank
I don't
you.
know. A little fun fact.
Okay, new favorite
What's it
smell.
from? Do you know?
So basically, when it hasn't rained for a while, a lot of the oils that are excreted from plants and weeds and whatnot, and even the oils from cars on the road, and sometimes even pollen, when that rain finally hits after a dry stretch, it releases the odors of those oils and natural things that come from the plants.
We like that. So yesterday when we talked to you, Matt, you told us that the storm, I think, was coming from the south up.
Yeah.
Did it help with the fire situation? Do we know down there at all?
You know, I haven't heard anything from firefighters directly, but I was watching radar yesterday, and we definitely got some showers on top of the Forsyth fire. Nothing. I haven't seen any radar that got too active around that France Canyon fire by Bryce Canyon, but the one north of St. George in the Pine Valleys, it looked like it got a little bit of rain. So
that's good.
Yeah, that's good. So what can we expect actually tomorrow for weather across the state?
Yeah, so there's been some subtle changes to the forecast. I think Salt Lake City north has the best chance for an afternoon scattered thunderstorm. That includes southern Idaho. But south of that mark, maybe a 20% chance for Provo. I know we've got the parade going on. It's going to be dry for that. But by afternoon, we could see a couple of pop-up storms, and it's going to be breezy. So if you're hitting the waterways, recreating on any of the lakes, just heads up, afternoon's going to be breezy, and there is a chance for some pop-up storms.
Good to know.
And this is part of the monsoon that you talked to us about yesterday, correct?
Yep. There's a little it's funny because sometimes in northern Utah we need a little more than just the moisture. We need some dynamics. And so there's a little trailing low-pressure system that'll clip us tomorrow, and that's why the forecast changed.
Interesting.
Well, thanks for joining us this morning, and I'll be on the road this afternoon, feeling a little better after talking to Matt. I have a little more optimism for my drive. So this is the busiest weekend, or at least supposed to be the record weekend, Holly, with respect to travel. Long weekend. A lot of people hit the road yesterday.
Yeah.
4th of July travel. This says nationally more Americans are expected to travel today than any other day over this long 4th of July weekend. AAA told us that yesterday was the busy day, but most people are saying today's the big day. ABC's Stephanie Ramos has more.
Millions of Americans hitting the road and the skies for the busiest travel day of the July 4th weekend. Airlines and TSA preparing for a record-breaking number of travelers this weekend, with more than 51,000 flights scheduled to take off today alone. United is expected to fly more than 6 million passengers, with American Airlines expected to top 7.6 million.
You know, even though air travel is going to be heavy, the Salt Lake City Airport is expecting, I think, 30,000 passengers to depart today, something like that. It really is people who are driving. So something like 62 million drivers are going to hit the roads this weekend.
Yeah, and I'm thinking, I told my wife we could get on the road early, but we're not going to make it. It's going to be later on today, probably
Why
rush
would you
hour.
admit that?
I know. The judge wants to see me this afternoon, so we'll see how that goes. So I'm looking forward to this weekend. We've got a little place down by Capitol Reef. I meant to ask Matt about the national parks, but when he talked to us yesterday and a little bit what he said today, it makes it seem like we're going to have pretty pleasant weather for our national
for the
parks
rest of the
this
weekend
as well.
Yeah.
So that's great.
Yeah.
I think we're going to be joined by KSL News Radio's Adam Small. I'm not sure if he's with us yet. Oh, he is. Adam, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, guys, no problem.
They usually say Adam's on. Maybe I missed that.
So what are you watching right now with travel today, Adam?
Well, I'm kind of keeping up with what kind of delays we could see locally. And as you guys mentioned, AAA was really forecasting yesterday to be the big, driving day nationally. But UDOT is actually expecting today is going to be the day where we're going to be potentially running into some delays. They're not expected to be super bad, but they do expect today to be busier than yesterday. So here are the delays that they're potentially forecasting today. And unfortunately for you, Greg, it's going to be later in the day. So keep a close eye on these time frames here. So they're predicting up to 10-minute delays on northbound I-15 in Salt Lake County between 2 and 7 today. And then southbound I-15 Salt Lake County between 3 and 7. And then northbound I-15 in Davis County between 3 and 7. So, again, up to 10-minute delays shouldn't be super bad. UDOT's also pausing their construction work for the holiday, so there shouldn't be any construction personnel out on the freeways or anything like that. But there are a couple of spots in the state where, like, for example, 5600 South in Roy, I mean, the lanes of the freeway are shifted. That's a huge project up there. So, like, it's not going to be like normal 4 to 5 lanes of the freeway up there, but at least there won't be any construction personnel out, so it should help ease congestion that way. But the peak travel time is really going to be, call it 2 to 3 to 7 o'clock tonight.
If we have 10-minute delays going southbound on I-15, Adam, that will be a world record.
It's not
low
bad.
delay. I'm thinking I'm going to call you this afternoon about 4 o'clock when I'm in my 30
It was
minute,
an hour and a half.
30-minute delay going into Lehigh down there. Once you get past 72nd South in Salt Lake, it just seems like it gets really bad. You do that commute every day.
Every day.
Holly. You know
Yep.
what it's like. But on days like this, but that's actually a good sign. I don't know if you're familiar, Adam, with anything that's going to happen as we go further south into Utah, Juab, and other counties as we travel that way.
Not that I'm aware of, at least what UDOT's put out there. I know there's been past holidays where they'd forecasted delays near Nephi, but I think the construction work that crews have been doing down there has progressed quite a bit, if not wrapped up. I haven't checked on any of those projects in a little bit, but no, the only ones that they're alerting people to are Salt Lake County. Look for up to 10-minute delays on both sides of the freeway, then northbound in Davis County. But no delays forecasted for Utah County going south. The one thing outside of the Wasatch Front that you guys actually had touched on yesterday is just when you're coming back on Sunday, if you're going to be driving westbound US 6 near Wellington, say if you're coming back from Moab or something like that, you're taking that route back, just be aware you could run into delays north of 45 minutes on that stretch on westbound US 6 Sunday between just before noon until 7 o'clock at night. The worst delays are going to be in the early to mid-afternoon. So if you can, I mean, whether it's today or especially Sunday, if you're taking that route, again, if you can leave in the morning or late at night, that's going to be your best way to avoid that. But today, at least, it looks like things are going to be pretty minimal.
Thanks so much for joining us, Adam. We've been talking with Adam Small, KSL News Radio reporter. And we're going to actually shift to Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center to see what we see right now on the roads.
Right now, I'm seeing quite a bit of rain falling in the Parley's Canyon right near the mouth. And so that is slowing people down in both directions just for safety reasons for the speed. But otherwise, it's been really light traffic flow all morning long. So we haven't had too many issues, not a lot of accidents. The couple that we did have were just minor fender benders. But I do want to clarify something that Adam spoke about, your 10-minute delays on I-15 later this afternoon. That's 10-minute additional delays on top half of what you normally see.
Okay.
Okay, that makes sense. We seeing rain anywhere else, Heather? I mean, that's a good sign, rain, for a lot of reasons. Of course, not necessarily for traffic, but is there any rain along the Wasatch Front?
We had some a little bit earlier. Now, we're going to have some of these scattered rain showers, I believe, off and on most of the day. But really early this morning, we had them in Cottonwood Heights on the East Bench area. It also went through Little Cottonwood Canyon. Some people said there were some in Lehigh. I don't doubt them. It didn't seem to be enough that it actually wet down the roadways to cause issues. And then there was a little bit of rain near the airport also very early this morning.
You broke my heart with the 10-minute additional delays. Thank you, Heather. Thank you for always being able to join us. When we come back after the break, Holly, did you ever think that you would hear a politician call Congress a crime scene? Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries did that earlier this morning on the House floor. Stay tuned.
Held over due to popular demand. This is your opportunity to save up to 40 to 80% on a hot tub or swim spa. This weekend only, Friday through Sunday, Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Be advised, this is your opportunity to save up to 40 to 80% on a hot tub or swim spa. This weekend only, Friday through Sunday, Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. 18-month interest-free financing. Our factories have demanded we sell 1,000 hot tubs and swim spas this weekend. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Huge factory incentives, factory rebates, this weekend only. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. We can remove your old hot tub. Free delivery of your new hot tub. Hot tub starting at $2,999. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Free delivery of your new hot tub. Just relax and enjoy. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Friday, 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. Saturday, 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Sunday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Free admission, free parking, free delivery. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Call 833-SPA-SALE or visit hottubandswimspasale.com.
I am down 50 pounds in 11 weeks, and this program works. The pounds melt off. It's amazing.
I let go of 50 pounds. It felt unreal. I was so proud of myself.
Get in the best shape of your life with SOTA weight loss.
Just 3 weeks in, and pounds are dropping off very quickly. I am down 26 pounds in 3 weeks.
Summer is right around the corner.
Your summer body starts right here because SOTA's summer savings are on.
Every single day, SOTA weight loss is helping people let go of the weight without drugs, without hunger, and the weight stays off.
I tried other things, came to SOTA, just amazing.
I started on SOTA 8 months ago, and I have released 80 pounds now.
Summer savings, stunning results, only at SOTA Weight Loss. Get started now at SOTAweightloss.com. That's SOTA weightloss.com.
SOTA is, say it with me, state of the art.
Home sellers, do not lose money selling your home the old way. Make more money when you sell your home with a Bank Buster loan. This is Rod with the Save Right Realtor team at RealtyPath. Average interest rates are in the mid to high sixes, but Save Right Realtors will market your home with a fixed rate as low as 4.75%. The ultra-low Bank Buster rate gives buyers monthly payments that are hundreds less than comparable homes. When your home is much more affordable, you get a larger pool of potential buyers who can buy your home. When buyers compare homes and see your home is hundreds less per month, you'll get a quicker offer and a higher sale price. Do not lose money selling your home the old way. Sell faster and make more money. Sell with Save Right. Sell with the Bank Buster loan. Call 801-APPROVE or visit SaveRight.com.
I love a day on the water with friends, but my moderate to severe plaque psoriasis sometimes holds me back. Now I'm all in with clearer skin thanks to Skyrizi. Risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection for adults who are candidates for systemic or phototherapy.
Teaching music is my passion, but my active psoriatic arthritis can limit me at times. Now I'm treating my joint symptoms with Skyrizi.
With Skyrizi, most people with plaque psoriasis saw 90% clearer skin at 4 months.
Or if you are an adult with active psoriatic arthritis, Skyrizi helps you move with less joint pain, stiffness, swelling, and fatigue.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions, increased infections, or lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, get checked for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor about any flu-like symptoms or vaccines.
There's nothing like clearer skin.
There's nothing like better movement, and that means everything. Ask your doctor about Skyrizi. Visit Skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKY-RIZZI to learn more.
If you talk and they will hear you.
We all want our kids to grow up safe and healthy, so we show them how. And we tell them with honest conversations that let them know what we expect. Not just one time, but every chance we get. That's especially important when it comes to alcohol and other drugs. Kids not only need to know the dangers and how to avoid them, they need to hear it often from you. And when it comes to pain medications, opioids, they need to know that they should never be taken without a prescription and never shared with friends or family. It's dangerous and illegal. So talk with your kids and guide them through the challenges of growing up safe and healthy. Because when you talk, they hear you. For more information about talking with your kids about underage use of alcohol and other drugs, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
So talk, they hear you. You can do it if you try.
The new Inside Sources.
House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries has called the U.S. House a crime scene earlier this morning on the House floor as he began speaking in his magic minute, a minute that has now stretched into 6 hours, 26 minutes, and 46 seconds. But who's keeping score? Here's what he said.
It's a crime scene going after the health and the safety and the well-being of the American people. And, Mr. Speaker, we want no part of it.
He's going forward. I mean, he's talking. He's got the House full of Democrats. I think the Republicans are all at their offices getting some work done.
That's right.
But he did say he was going to take his sweet time.
I rise today in strong opposition to Donald Trump's one big, ugly bill. Take my sweet time on behalf of the American people, on behalf of their health care, on behalf of their Medicaid, on behalf of their nutritional assistance, on behalf of veterans, on behalf of farmers, on behalf of children, on behalf of seniors, on behalf of people with disabilities, on behalf of small businesses, on behalf of every single American.
And
So-
he is taking a sweet time.
He is, but look, this isn't the first time that the minority leader has taken an opportunity to speak against a bill. So one of the things that can happen in the House is that after debate has ended, and that actually happened about 3 o'clock in the morning, DC time, where they got enough votes to say, okay, we're going to go ahead and put this up for final passage. They had enough votes. They know that this bill is going to pass. But it opens up what they are calling a magic minute. And what that means is the minority leadership can go ahead and speak, but the magic is that it doesn't end until they stop speaking. So when the Build Back Better bill passed under Biden,
there you go.
These names,
BBBs.
Right, but when that was up for passage under the Biden administration, then Republican Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy spoke for just over 8.5 hours, so 8 hours and 32 minutes. Before him, Nancy Pelosi had set a record at 8 hours and 7 minutes. So my suspicion is he's going to try to beat McCarthy's record and go at least 8 hours and 33 minutes.
Well, let's hope he only breaks it by a minute or two. Well, we're lucky to have with us someone who hopefully hasn't been sitting there for 6.5 hours. Cami Mondo, Deseret News congressional correspondent. Cami, tell us where we are right now.
Yeah, so as you said, Hakeem Jeffries has been talking for several hours at this point. I do think that at this point he probably is trying to go for that record. We've seen throughout this week Democrats trying to delay this bill as much as possible. We've seen many records being hit by those delay tactics like the Vote-A-Rama. That was the longest Vote-A-Rama in history. So I do think that Hakeem Jeffries will continue going for quite a while.
So what do you anticipate, really? I mean, once they finally call the vote, how quick is that process, the final vote?
I think at this point we're anticipating that this will be the quickest vote that we've seen in the House for this week. You know, we saw the two votes yesterday being held open for, I think it was a combined 15 hours. I think that was all the groundwork that Republicans wanted to do to get the support they needed. I think at this point, Democrats know that support is there, and so this is their last-ditch effort to just delay it as long as possible.
Cami, what happened at the House? Because we had heard that after the Senate had voted the other day, maybe just within the last day or two, that the House was not happy with the bill, that there were several Republican members, several conservative Republican members who were not going to let it pass with that huge 3 whatever $1 trillion deficit. And so we expected the debate to continue for some time, certainly not before the 4th of July, but it appears from what you just said that maybe they do have the votes and they're ready to do that, and that's why Hakeem Jeffries is doing what he's doing. But what happened?
It seems that after the bill did pass the Senate and the House came back, you're right, there were a lot of Republicans, those conservatives who were upset with the numbers, even a few moderates who were a little bit wary of those Medicaid cuts. There was an all-out pressure campaign basically from the White House. Wednesday morning, those groups of Republicans actually went to the White House for several different meetings. A lot of those moderates came back a little bit more satisfied. They were less worried about that, but conservatives were still not happy, and that's why we saw those votes stay open for hours and hours. But basically what had happened over the course of the last, I guess it was 24 hours now, the White House and conservatives have been talking about different ways that the White House can make assurances. It's not exactly clear what the details of those deals may be, but it seems that the White House may be, making promises of how they're going to roll out these spending cuts, maybe future executive orders, maybe future legislation. But it seems that whatever they have promised to these conservatives, that has been enough to satisfy them that they're able to sign on to this now.
So were there actual changes made to this bill that came over from the Senate, or was it really just changing votes?
It was just changing votes. Nothing has been changed from the legislation that's passed through the Senate. That way they can just pass it, and once they do, it'll go straight to Donald Trump's desk. I'm hearing that they're hoping to sign that tomorrow morning on July 4th. But nothing has been changed for the legislation itself.
If it had, does it go back to the Senate? I mean, if there are significant changes, Cammie, would it have to go back to the Senate one more time?
Correct. If any changes had been made, even just one letter or one word, it would have to go back to the Senate for confirmation. And so that was one of the things that, the Senate, they call it jamming the House, really, is that they passed it so quickly and everybody left town, hoping that, the House would have to finish this off and just accept the changes that they had made.
What's so interesting, Cammie, is when it passed the House and went to the Senate the first time, there were people in the House that are like, this is not a great bill. We hope the Senate fixes it. And then the Senate did change it, and then they sent it back and said, good luck.
Right. There were a lot of conservatives I spoke to when the House passed it the first time, where I'd even asked them about that, where I was asking if, they were concerned they would be jammed like this. A lot of them were at the time confident that if it did change, the Senate would make it more conservative. That's clearly not what happened. And so it has been just an interesting whirlwind over the last few days for those conservatives. I think really had to come to terms with reality, and whatever assurances that they got from the president, from the White House, I guess it was enough for them to sign on.
That's the sausage making, right? The deal making behind the scenes there.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It really is. So Hakeem Jeffries has said he's going to take his sweet time. Holly thinks that he will at least set the record and go another perhaps 2 hours. Do we have any idea what's going on? I mean, he's not going to go 24 or 25 hours, is he?
Well, he might.
He could, I guess. maybe that's
right.
Just...
Yeah, you never know. He has been sitting there. So when he was in preparation for this speech, it seems that, they've been preparing binders of different people's stories from across the country, based on what they would experience if their Medicaid was cut, what would happen if their SNAP was cut, what would happen to farmers. And so he's kind of just been flipping through different binders this entire time. I'm not sure how many binders he may have. They kind of keep just appearing on the floor. And so who knows how long that this could last.
Yeah. All right. Thanks for joining us, Cammie, and keeping us up to date on everything that's been happening on Capitol Hill. It's been a lot. We've been speaking with Cammie Mondo, Deseret News congressional correspondent, on the latest developments on the big, beautiful bill that's expected to pass today.
I have to say, some of this stuff to the average American, and I guess myself included, seems silly. I mean, the whole
it's performative.
Yesterday we were talking about the all-nighter. We were talking about
they did another one. They did it on the House side this time.
Right, and then they did it on the House side this time. So, I mean, Trump wanted it done by the 4th. It appears that's going to happen. I don't see any reason why we would think it wouldn't. But if it's inevitable, Holly, I don't know what the symbolism of some of this is.
Yeah, and I that's a good point, and it is performative, right? We know that the bill is going to pass, or they would not have called the vote. Same thing on the Senate side, right? We knew that they had the votes by the time they called for the senators to come back. Same with the House. I think what happens is you have an opportunity for the minority side to really get the message out there that they're disagreeing with what's happening. So this is bipartisan. Like I said, it was Kevin McCarthy last time speaking against the Build Back Better bill. And this time it's Hakeem Jeffries speaking against the One Big Beautiful bill. So apparently they really like the letter B. But they'll be able to take clips from this and they'll be able to use it in campaign ads, and they'll be able to go back to the people in their districts and say the Democrats will. And when, either side, right? But you use this as campaign moments to say, look, I've made this point, or look, I shared this story of my constituent who is going to be harmed by this, and I'm there fighting for you. It's that type of messaging, and that's one of the reasons that they do this.
Yeah, I mean, quickly, are you surprised that there wasn't any change at the House?
No, I'm not that surprised. I was actually a little surprised at how quickly the holdouts caved.
Oh, yeah. There you go. Well, we've been talking about the big budget bill that is going to pass today, seemingly. As soon as Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries stops speaking on the House floor, we'll be joined by our own Congresswoman Celeste Malloy next.
9:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Amanda Dixon. KSL's top story, the University of Utah has been ranked as one of the top schools in the world.
That's largely thanks to their medical research programs. The U.S. News and World Report says the university scores in the top 7% globally. The ranking was determined using the school's overall academic research and reputation. The report adds any student choosing a school should consider location, culture, and specific programs, not just the school's overall rank. At the University of Utah, their oncology, cardiac, and cardiovascular systems and clinical medicine programs scored in the top 100. Brianna Willis, KSL News Radio.
Our top national story this hour from ABC News. 2 million Gazan civilians are facing extreme hunger due to Israel's war with Hamas. And now the Gazan Humanitarian Foundation, which runs 4 aid distribution sites in the area, is facing allegations from some of its former contractors.
The Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, this controversial Israeli and U.S.-backed private organization that runs these aid distribution points inside Gaza, is pushing back on reports from the Associated Press and Israel's Channel 12, who both have spoken to former contractors who were guarding those sites. And these contractors have alleged that routinely their colleagues were using live ammunition and stun grenades against crowds of starving and hungry Palestinians as they tried to collect food.
That's ABC's Patrick Reevell. Your money at this moment. The Dow is up 328 right now. That's 0.75%. We're at 44,815. Coming up, rain in the forecast for today, maybe even tomorrow. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 9:32.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
Hi, this is Doug Wright. For years now, I've been telling you about Connecticut soft water systems that use 2/3 less salt than the others. But I've never told you exactly how they do that. Well, there are several ways, so consider this as part 1 in a series. Most of the softeners out there use a finicky, hard-to-adjust computer to guesstimate when to cycle, and it errs on the side of cycling too often, which means it'll burn through way too much salt way too soon. Connecticut is different. It has an all-mechanical system that measures the water precisely. No computer, no guesstimating, so it cycles only when needed. The result, Connecticut delivers perfectly soft water 24/7 using minimal salt. So why not save your lower back from carrying the 3 bags of salt when all you need is 1? Call Northern Utah's authorized Connecticut dealer, Connecticut Quality Water Systems of Salt Lake. Call them now, 801-576-8600, or log on to softwaterutah.com and tell them Doug sent you.
The KSL News Radio movie show comes to Fat Cats in Saratoga Springs this Friday from 10 to 1. Be sure to bring the family to Fat Cats for the Flashback Summer Series, featuring classic movies back on the big screen with easy summer pricing. Just $5 per ticket to see classic movies like The Goonies, Top Gun, and Karate Kid. Beat the summer heat at a great price at Fat Cats. Fat Cats flashback movies run Monday through Thursday nights all summer long. Great, fun summer entertainment while you relax in Fat Cat's all-luxury recliner theaters. Order handmade pizzas, burgers, or salads from the Fat Cats Grill, and they'll deliver them right to your seat at no extra charge. Fat Cats always makes it a premium movie experience at a price families can afford. Fat Cat Cinemas in Clinton, Bluffdale, and Saratoga Springs. Learn more about a Fat Cats experience at fatcatsfun.com. That's fatcatsfun.com.
If you're a medical, wellness, or aesthetics practice owner who wants to enhance your profits and practice valuation while reducing your workload, this is a message you'll want to hear. The Hamlin Business Institute is holding the most transformative business class you'll ever take on Friday, August 1st in Salt Lake City. As a practice owner, this class can literally change your life and revolutionize your practice. With a 5-star Google review rating and certification by the DOPL for select professions, this class is meticulously crafted to meet your specific needs. Their previous participants rave about their experience. A staggering 96% are interested in additional classes from Hamlin Business Institute. 100% would recommend this class, and more than 3/4 said it was the most beneficial continuing education class they have ever taken. Sign up before July 20th and get a 40% discount with the code BUSINESS at HamlinBusinessInstitute.com. That's code BUSINESS at HamlinBusinessInstitute.com. Code BUSINESS at HamlinBusinessInstitute.com.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Mountain America's Double Rewards credit card promotion. And here's Heather Kelly.
It's still a very smooth commute right now anywhere you're trying to get to, whether it's to work or maybe leaving town. So getting out of Salt Lake, Utah, Davis counties, you're not seeing too many delays on the freeways. Occasionally the lane restrictions out in Tooele County and through Provo Canyon do slow people down from time to time, as well as the scattered rain showers we've been seeing off and on all morning. But that's really the only issue we have at the moment. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
Let's get a look at that weather forecast. A high of 88 degrees today with a slight chance of thunderstorms. That chance of storms continues tomorrow before the skies start to clear out on Saturday. Right now it's 79 degrees. I'm Amanda Dixon from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
If you're just joining us, we've been talking about the One Big Beautiful Bill. It apparently has all of the votes it needs to pass today, but Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries is on the House floor. He's been speaking for more than 6.5 hours. And when he is done speaking, they'll finally have the bill up for final passage. And while representatives are waiting for that moment to happen, we are lucky to be joined by Utah Representative Celeste Malloy, who's just waiting to cast her vote on this big, beautiful bill. Welcome, Representative.
Thank you.
We're so happy to have you join our show. I'm wondering if you could start off by telling us what you see as some of the benefits for the people of Utah when this bill becomes law, which it sounds like it's going to happen tomorrow.
Yeah, well, hopefully it happens today. I was hoping I would be calling in to tell you we passed it, but we'll see how long Hakeem can keep talking. There are a lot of wins in here for the people in Utah. It raises the child tax credit by $200 per child. Utah is the youngest state in the country with the most kids, so that helps. It increases the standard deduction for seniors. Everyone's heard about no tax on tips, no tax on overtime pay. That helps people who are in that middle income bracket where they work for wages for a living. That's a lot of Utahns. But the biggest thing that's easy to miss is renewing the tax cuts from 2017 prevents a huge spike in taxes. If we let those expire, most Utahns will get a 22% tax hike this year. Keeping the tax cuts in place increases the yearly take-home pay for a typical Utah family of four by a little over $14,000. And so it's hard to get people excited about keeping something they already have the way they'd get excited about getting something new. But it's really important that we keep that tax cut in place because losing it would be really devastating for Utah families. And then besides the national policies that are good for Utah families. There's some specific Utah things in there that are good. The Radiation Exposure Compensation Act, the Downwinders Fund, that compensates Utahns who are exposed to radiation due to the above-ground testing at the Nevada test site. That expired last June. It's been unauthorized for a year. We've been working for a year to try to get that reauthorized, and it's in this one big, beautiful bill. And not only is it reauthorized, it expands to all of Utah, not just the parts of Utah that were covered before, and it expands to the uranium miners who were exposed to radiation through uranium mines, including in Utah. And that's been something that people have been working on for years. So those are Utah-specific wins where the government harmed people in Utah and is taking a step to make it right. And that gets lost in the national conversation.
Representative Malloy, you've been seemingly on board with the bill from the start, but some of your Republican House colleagues had indicated, or at least hinted, that once it went to the Senate, that they were sort of rethinking and had some concerns about what they had done. And we expected that there would be a little more pushback than what we've seen, in as much as it seems now that the House Republicans are on board. What happened?
Well, I think a lot of the pushback happened where you didn't see it. We were supposed to be voting yesterday morning, 2 quick votes. We're still here. We haven't taken the final vote. And that's because people had concerns about the way it came back from the Senate. And they've been working through those concerns. And frankly, when I saw the Medicaid language from the Senate, I didn't like it. And I had to learn what they were doing, because we had really simple Medicaid language in the House. The Senate's is more complicated. What they're doing is changing the provider tax cap, and that limits how much the states can use provider taxes to boost their federal Medicaid funds. It's more complicated than what we had. It took some time to understand it. My team and I spent a lot of time on the phone yesterday with healthcare providers in Utah, trying to get them to help us understand how this would impact them. And now I do feel better about it, and I'm ready to move forward. But anytime something goes to the Senate, it gets changed. And we worked for months in the House on this. The Senate only had a couple of weeks, which means we didn't have a lot of time to get up to speed on their changes. And so I think you're just watching the process play out. People had questions, they had concerns, they're working through those, they're getting information, and we're moving forward.
Can you speak to the concerns about the cost of this big, beautiful bill and increasing the deficit and the debt ceiling both?
Yeah, so whether it increases the deficit depends on who's doing the math. And I know people are really skeptical about that. So is everyone here. But this isn't a straightforward math equation. It depends on the inputs. The inputs really matter. So some of the people who are criticizing this for increasing the deficit are operating on 2 assumptions. That if we let the tax cuts expire, we would have a direct correlation between expiring tax cuts and increased revenue. That isn't true. It never has been. If we let the tax cuts expire and every Utah family of 4 takes a $14,000 pay cut per year, there will be businesses that close, there will be jobs that will be lost. And so you don't get that direct revenue.
Right.
But a lot of the projections include that. And then most of them use a really pessimistic growth rate just to be conservative in their estimates. A lot of them are using 1.8% growth rate. Even during the Biden high inflation years, we had higher growth rate than that in the economy. Every year since the 2017 tax cuts, the ones we're renewing in this bill, every year since then, the revenue's gone up. So we're trying to make sure that keeps happening, that the revenue goes up. If that's true, then these pessimistic estimates that say we're increasing the deficit are inaccurate. But the reality that we are facing is that the interest on our debt is so high now that even as we're cutting, it's like we're shoveling snow during a blizzard.
Yeah.
We have to shovel the snow. We're taking the steps to go in the right direction, but you can't turn around that kind of a deficit in 1 year with one bill. So it's going to take this bill and the rescissions and the appropriations, and we're just going to have to keep taking steps while we turn this around.
Representative Malloy, I think a lot of our listeners want to know what House Republicans do when someone like Hakeem Jeffries is speaking for 6 hours and 49 minutes. Certainly you're not just sitting there on the floor. You're probably getting some work done, correct?
Yeah, so far I've organized my office. I've got a lot of my August plans nailed down. I've exercised. I've paced. I had some breakfast. I took a nap for a little while on my couch. They woke all of us up. We were here until about 1 o'clock this morning.
Wow.
And then we all got a message that we were going to vote between 5 and 6. So I got up at 4, showered, got ready for the day. Turns out I could have slept for a lot more hours, but we don't know. And so we all have to kind of be on call.
Yeah.
And now I'm probably going to go for another walk. I'm deliberately not watching everything Hakeem Jeffries is saying because I'm sure it'll only irritate me. And the truth is, Democrats know they don't have the votes to stop this.
Right.
So what they're doing right now is just slowing it down and trying to irritate everyone. I think they feel like if they can push us to the 4th of July, since that's been the deadline, I think they'll feel like that's a victory all by itself, just making us all miss our parades tomorrow and saying we missed our deadline.
That's a lot of talking. Thanks for joining us, Representative Malloy. We've been speaking with 4th Congressional District Representative Celeste Malloy, waiting to cast her final vote on this big, beautiful bill.
And coming up on Inside Sources, a legal Utah resident was detained in Texas for 48 days before his case was dismissed and he was allowed to return home. We'll talk about that after the break.
Do you know how to tell if a clogged drain is something to worry about or not? What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and I understand it's annoying and inconvenient, but sometimes a clogged drain can be a sign there's a more serious issue with your sewer main line. If the drains in the lowest level of your home aren't draining, or you flush a toilet and it comes up somewhere else like a shower or a floor drain, I'm urging you to look at this as more than just an annoyance. The last thing I want you to experience is a sewer backup. If you're a homeowner experiencing any of these issues, the first step would be to snake the line to see if it's just a blockage, which one of our drain techs can do for only $29. Yep, you heard that right. Any Hour Services will snake any drain line with normal access for only $29. Sinks, showers, tubs, toilets, floor drains, laundry drains, even that sewer main line that connects to the city. We'll snake any line for just $29. For help with your drain issues, call Any Hour Services at 801-443-7700. You can Google Any Hour Services. You can even schedule online at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today. 1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Donate your car today at carsforkids.org. That's cars with a K. Your car, running or not, can be picked up as soon as the next day. You'll get a maximum tax deduction and a vacation voucher.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Now accepting donations of land, homes, buildings, or any kind of real estate.
Hi, this is Derek Overstreet, president of the New Millennium Group and co-host of Stop Working, Start Living with KSL News Radio. Can you imagine what your life would be like if you could retire 3 to 5 years earlier than you thought possible? The things you could do, the loved ones you could spend time with, the memories that you could create. That's what our team at the New Millennium Group does. We'll walk you through the entire process every step of the way. If you'd like to get a copy of the 5-step proprietary plan that will help you retire 3 to 5 years sooner than you thought possible, give us a shout right now. 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370 or utahsfinancialplanner.com. Listen, most of our listeners right now have a tax problem, not a money problem. There's not enough money in Social Security Medicare as it is. Let us show you how you can significantly reduce your taxes. That's 888-999-6370, 888-999-6370, or utahsfinancialplanner.com.
Get in the zone, AutoZone. John always listens to his truck. So when his brakes start talking, he goes to AutoZone, where a helpful AutoZoner gets him the right parts. If John has time to put them in, he borrows a kit with Loan-A-Tool. And if he doesn't, he gets a free shop referral. No hassles, just help. Everything you need, nothing you don't.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Deposit required for Loan-A-Tool. Restrictions apply.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
John always listens to his truck. So when his brakes start talking, he goes to AutoZone, where a helpful AutoZoner gets him the right parts. If John has time to put them in, he borrows a kit with Loan-A-Tool. And if he doesn't, he gets a free shop referral. No hassles, just help. Everything you need, nothing you don't.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Deposit required for Loan-A-Tool. Restrictions apply.
It's a dinosaur.
It's giveaway time. Text the word dino, D-I-N-O, or dinosaur, D-I-N-O-S-A-U-R, to 57500.
We get to pick a winner every hour until the movie show starts at 11 o'clock. So
Winners
excited.
receive a gift card to see Jurassic Park, or Jurassic World, they all get a new name, at Fat Cats Theaters.
They also get a family pack of tickets to the Prehistoric Museum in Price, which is really fun.
And be sure to listen for a review of Jurassic World Rebirth during our special movie show Thursday at 11:05, today at 11:05, and Andy and Steve's usual time Friday at 11:05 at Fat Cats.
And expanded Inside Sources. Inside Sources.
This is a really interesting story, Holly, that we heard about from KSL TV's Garna Mejia last night. A legal Utah resident was returned home after immigration officials detained him on a return flight from Peru. He was apparently in custody for almost 3 months. We have Garna Mejia with us from KSL TV 5. Garna, what can you set the stage for this and tell our listeners what happened here?
Yeah, great to be with you guys. Good morning. So this is the case of Junior Diostes. He's 39 years old. He came to the U.S. lawfully when he was a teenager with his family. He's a U.S. legal resident. He graduated from Highland High School, has a wife and 5 kids, and he's a small business owner. He took a trip that he says he has, done often over the years. He went down to Peru to visit family, and on his way back at customs, coming through the airport, agents pulled him aside. They ended up holding him for 2 days at the airport, and then they decided to transfer him to ICE custody and sent him to a detention facility in Conover, Texas. That's where he spent another 48 days. Now, this is where his attorney says that the case really took a wrong turn. Federal prosecutors decided to put him into deportation proceedings after they flagged 2 previous convictions that he had, one in 2006 for failure to stop for a police officer, another in 2019 for disorderly conduct. The problem, his attorney says, and U.S. law states, is that those are not considered, they don't meet the legal standard to deport someone. And so his attorney had to fight and say, hey, what federal prosecutors are doing here is wrong, and asked to, filed a motion to essentially dismiss his case. His attorney says that prosecutors didn't fight back on that. And so the judge ultimately said, okay, well, then I guess we should let him go. But they still took another week to release him. His attorney, Adam Craig, says he's not sure why the government did that, but maybe it was because they were waiting to see if prosecutors would file an appeal.
Wow. and so he's still here legally. He still has his green card. What made him want to speak out on this issue?
Yeah, so his attorney actually brings up a good point. Craig says, by law, you have to kind of, immigration law states what and what cannot lead to a deportation. These situations that he found, and he says this was a decent man who made some dumb choices in his past, and now they're coming back to haunt him. And so the reason that Diostes wanted to, was open to sharing his story is he said, I'm here legally and lawfully, and I thought I was doing everything right. Yes, I had some hiccups in my past, but now I was kind of put into this really scary and difficult situation. And so he wanted to speak out because he wants to kind of share his story, not necessarily with the general public, but other immigrants. He actually said during the interview, like, hey, if you're considering traveling and you're not a U.S. citizen, you might want to reconsider that because you just don't know what you're going to get on your way back home.
Garner, you talked about his criminal history, and I think that they were thinking about that. In 2006, I think you said failure to stop for a police officer.
Yes.
And what was the year of the disorderly conduct?
2019.
Okay, so those
And so
right, those are misdemeanors, right? I mean, and so they wouldn't have met the criteria for deportation as I think the feds call it an aggravated felony or something that's punishable by a year or more in jail. Is that what Craig said, his attorney?
Greg, that's exactly right. And we actually found the ICE's website. You know, they call it moral turpitude, and you could probably speak better to this. But essentially, you know, it's those crimes that are against other people, humanity, egregious drug deals, you know, rape, murder. You know, that's what qualifies under immigration law to deport someone. And that's not what Diosis has in his past. And his attorney said this. I thought this was interesting. He said, you know, I don't even know why federal prosecutors decided to do this. They should have known better. You know, you do a quick Google search and you'll figure out that this case has no merit.
Yeah, it's interesting to me and concerning, right, that I feel like we're seeing a number of incidences of people who are here in the country legally who are facing either potential deportation or at least they're being pulled over and held, like we had that University of Utah student.
Yeah, and, you know, they bring up another really good point. I appreciated what Craig said when he said, you know, you have a federal government that is talking about efficiency and about not wasting government resources. And here you have a case where they went after someone. How much money did it cost taxpayers to hold them in an ICE facility that is privately, you know, it's a private contractor for nearly 50 days? And how much did it cost in resources for federal prosecutors and that federal immigration judge when they're already having a huge backlog? He was telling me that some cases don't have hearings until 2029. He's like that they're setting those dates. So, you know, had Diosis not had the financial resources to hire an attorney, he very well could have been deported on what probably should not have happened. And then you have his wife here with his 5 kids who would likely end up having to use government assistance, more taxpayer funding to support her family if her breadwinner husband isn't here to do that.
Do we know, Garner, why the 7 weeks? I mean, it seems like this one was a mistake. It seems like agents overreacted. He didn't have a significant enough criminal history, and that should have been figured out fairly quickly. But you say he was detained for 48 days.
Plus 2 at the airport.
Right. What was the holdup?
Well, there's another interesting part to this. It sounds like customs agents at the airport figured that out after 2 days. What it seems to be the gray area is why did they figure that out and yet still turn him over into ICE custody and send him to this facility? You know, that seems to be the question. Diosis said something, you know, he's held, there's multiple cells at this facility. He's held in a cell with 90 other men and they have only 4 toilets. So you can imagine like there's, you know, a large population at these detention facilities, and maybe it was just paperwork that just took a while to get a hearing. You know, he finally got an attorney. His attorney, Adam Craig, was able to kind of get a motion going to dismiss all of this.
Wow. Thanks for joining us, Garner. We really appreciate that.
You know what's troubling, Holly, is that we have these, I won't call it a quota, but there seems to be a notion
a quota,
that
3,000 a day.
They hook up 3,000 people a day.
Yep.
And so this net that they have set is gotten so big that we're hanging out at Home Depots, that we're looking at people coming back into the country from an airport and saying, well, let's check this person, and it's almost like there's a presumption of guilt. There's almost like we're going to assume you're here wrongfully. We're going to assume you're here illegally. We're going to take you into custody, and then it becomes your problem to get out. And the money we're wasting. I mean, Brago Garcia is another example. We take him, we deport him, we send him to El Salvador, and pretty soon he's coming back. We're going to talk about a lawsuit from him later on today. That one got so bad. But this is a person who, by all accounts, is doing
everything right, and that's I think that's the point that's so concerning, and he's not the only one. So his recommendation to people who feel like they are doing everything right, I think take it seriously. His recommendation to be careful if you want to travel, because he has a green card, he's here legally, he's done everything right, and yet he was on the verge of being deported.
That's an important thing that you mentioned, because a lot of the time we hear from our congressional representatives who are pushing for these deportations that, hey, the person's here illegally in the first place,
right? So
they don't have a lot of sympathy. But
he
had obtained what he needed to be a lawful U.S. resident, and he was working and he was doing what he was supposed to be doing. He dotted all his I's, crossed all his T's.
He came legally with his family when he was a teenager. He graduated from high school. He carries a green card, which is permanent permission to stay in the United States, right? Basically, that's what that is. It does go up for renewal, but the caution of I've done everything right and yet I was still detained, that's concerning.
You know, what's ironic is that we've set these quotas for 3,000 people a day, but the administration has done such a great job at the border that we're not getting 3,000 people a week coming through.
Well, and not even new people coming across, but we're supposed to be taking the hardened criminals, aggravated felonies, as you mentioned, right? There aren't that many in the United States, and so we're seeing incidences like these. I just have to go back to the last segment because I misspoke. I'm not as sleep deprived as Representative Malloy, but I said she was from the 4th Congressional. She's actually from the 2nd. Sorry about that, Representative Malloy.
She was with us. She was wonderful today, and it was nice for her to join us. We're still waiting. The House hasn't voted yet. Hakeem Jeffries is still talking. We'll be back after the break to talk about Utah's summer food services program with a little bit of explanation. The Trump administration pulled the funding. We'll talk about what that means for Utah kids next.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
10 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Amanda Dixon. KSL's top story this hour, the latest jobs report shows the U.S. added 147,000 jobs in June.
And we also saw the unemployment rate drop from 4.2 to 4.1%.
That's Zions Bank chief economist Robert Spendlove. He says state and local government and healthcare jobs saw big gains in the last month. Spendlove says indicators are looking good for the future as well.
The question now, though, is how is the Fed going to react to this? There was some thought that the Fed might start dropping interest rates as soon as July. I think this potentially pushes that off till September.
Spendlove says the U.S. economy is a lot stronger than many experts were thinking. An online financial trend might be hurting recent college graduates. Experian Consumer Education Manager Christina Roman tells KSL-TV a trend has been circulating advising graduates to dispute their student loans with the hopes they will disappear.
About 70% of Gen Zers admit to being influenced by a financial media trend that they see online.
Roman says not only will the loan not go away, the dispute will trigger a review, which will hurt your credit score. This can make it harder to buy a car or a home and can affect insurance costs. Our top national story this hour from ABC News, the margin between what the nation imports and what it exports has grown.
The U.S. is still importing far more than it exports, as reflected in the numbers from May, with $279 billion in goods and services going out and $350 billion coming in. The figure tumbled in April by the largest amount on record as companies and consumers no longer were rushing to get imports ahead of President Trump's tariffs.
ABC's Jim Ryan reporting. Your money at this moment, the Dow is up 349 points. That we're at 44,833. Coming up, we've got rain in the forecast possibly today and tomorrow. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 10:02. Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
KSL offers the best daily newsletter in the state. It's the 3 things you need to know. Every weekday, we deliver quality and relevant content to your inbox. No ads, no spam. Just the 3 things you need to know to be informed about the world around you. Subscribe today. Visit KSLNewsRadio.com or text the word inbox to 57500. That's inbox to 57500.
Hey, Green Gobbler here. So you've got a clogged drain in your bathroom. Water in the sink's overstaying its welcome. You're spitting today's toothpaste on top of yesterday's toothpaste. You hoped it'd go away. Yeah, clogs don't just go away. I make them go away. I'm Green Gobbler, the only clog dissolver you need. I'm bleach-free, safe for your pipes, and I work. Guaranteed or your money back. Because I never met a clog that was gonna unclog itself. Green Gobbler. Let the gobbler get it.
Get in the zone, AutoZone. John always listens to his truck. So when his brakes start talking, he goes to AutoZone, where a helpful AutoZoner gets him the right parts. If John has time to put them in, he borrows a kit with Loan-A-Tool. And if he doesn't, he gets a free shop referral. No hassles, just help. Everything you need, nothing you don't. Get in the zone, AutoZone. Deposit required for Loan-A-Tool. Restrictions apply.
Any Hour Services can make sure your AC keeps you cool this summer. Whether you need a tune-up, repair, or just a second opinion about replacing it, call Any Hour Services or visit anyhourservices.com.
Hi, it's Tori DeVito. In every family, small conversations can make a big impact, like when my dad shared his experiences as an alcoholic. Your honesty about that part of your life gave me a sense of integrity that I wanted to uphold in my own life.
I wanted you to know from someone who's been in recovery more than 30 years now that hard work is what creates success, not alcohol or other drugs. I said it a lot, and I'm glad you took it to heart.
Talk, they hear you. For more information, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Mountain America's Double Rewards credit card promotion. And here's Heather Kelly.
We've got a little bit of a calm before the traffic storm right now. There are no delays. I-15, I-215, the east and west side belt routes, or I-80 in Summit County or through Tooele County. That is going to change in the next few hours. Right now, things are still pretty light. We don't even have any accidents reported, and no delays in any of the road construction zones at the moment. When you need the financial products and services for every stage of life, Cyprus Credit Union is there for whatever the future holds. Visit cypruscu.com today. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
We'll have a high of 88 degrees today with a slight chance for thunderstorms. That chance of rain sticks around tomorrow, but hopefully will only rain on the barbecue and not on the fireworks tomorrow night. Right now, let me see what our current temperature is downtown. We're at 79 degrees. I'm Amanda Dixon from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
So Tuesday was the start of the new fiscal year when the government spends money or starts spending money. And schools across the country were expecting to receive funding that's already been allocated by Congress. So it's already been voted on. They already said you can have this money. It was nearly $7 billion. It covers summer programs, after-school programs, teacher training, other things like that. But instead, on Monday, the Education Department sent an email to state education agencies telling them the money's not coming.
Yeah, I mean, that's just incredible. $7 billion for summer programs. Everyone's been counting on this. They've probably been counting on it, Holly, for years and years and years and years. Just
because it's been coming.
It's been ongoing. And I don't know if this is related to the big, beautiful bill or what.
It actually is not. So this is already funds that have already been allocated. It's already, again, passed through Congress. And so they did not feel like these funds were in any danger. But Jody Grant, who's the executive director of the After School Alliance, that's a national organization, she just calls it catastrophic.
Do we know what happened?
No. And so that was one of the things is there was almost no explanation. They just said the funds are frozen and you're not getting them. And that's all.
This is crazy. We have Ben Horsley, superintendent of Granite School District, joining us today. Ben, can you tell us what your immediate reaction to this was?
Well, good morning to both of you. And Holly's right. The programs that are apparently the funds being frozen are tied to things that are tied to the Elementary and Secondary Education Act as regular programming and funding mechanisms. To be clear, this would not impact current operations. This is funding for next fiscal year. So we're not immediately stressed at this point in time. And my conversations, we're still awaiting guidance from the State Board of Education on what this really means. But in conversations with the governor's office, Dr. Nye the education advisor. He was on a conference call with the White House earlier this week. It does appear that they want to evaluate the funding and determine and make sure it's being utilized in the way that it's intended. So we don't mind that scrutiny. I want to be clear that we want to be as transparent as possible and making sure that these resources are being used in the way that they're intended. I feel very confident that Granite and Utah in general is utilizing those funds in an appropriate way. But it is a little bit startling, and we'll see what happens.
So can I just ask for clarification then? You say that the funding would be next year's impact. Would that be next school year, like starting in August? Or are you talking about 12 months from now?
When we were talking about summer school lunch programs, those things have already been funded. We received those fundings, and those programs are currently, I was literally the summer school lunch program just yesterday. So that's not impacting that funding for this, but it would be through next year and starting that next fall.
Okay, so after school programs, those types of things?
Correct.
Okay. So one of the other questions I have then, this is not full funding, right, for education. In fact, we know most of Utah's education funding actually comes from the state of Utah. But what types of after-school programs would these monies impact in Granite School District?
I don't know, and that's why we're awaiting additional guidance from the State Board of Education at this point in time. We don't know what the impact is, and we don't know which funding mechanism, because Granite and the state of Utah does not participate in every sort of federal funding opportunity that is available to us. And you're correct, about a quarter of our funding does come from the federal government. Most of our maintenance and operations budget is funded by the state, so this wouldn't impact normal operations. It's these extra programs that are generally directed towards at-risk kids.
Mm-hmm. Ben, what are you hearing about the reason for this? I mean, was there an explanation? Did you guys get something in advance, or was this something that sort of just surprised you?
You heard when we heard, and again, the only rationale that I've heard, and not that's been directed to us, is to evaluate to ensure that these funds are not being utilized for purposes that would be deemed inappropriate by the administration. So whatever that means, to that extent, I think a lot of it's tied to the teacher professional development. Again, I don't believe we utilize a lot of the funding in that manner. And again, I welcome the scrutiny. I don't feel like the Granite School District or even the state of Utah has anything to hide. So I'm a little startled by the timing. With respect to that, but we do have a little bit of time. So I fully expect that Granite and the state board and even Utah, we have nothing to hide. We feel like we're utilizing these funds in the way that they're intended, and that there's no agendas behind any of the purposes of that funding. And so at some point in time, I feel confident that we're going to be able to get that funding.
Yeah, thank you, Ben. We're going to keep on top of this, and we'll, I'm sure, keep reaching out. We've been talking with Ben Horsley, the superintendent of Granite School District. We actually also reached out to the Utah State Superintendent, Dr. Molly Hart. She wasn't available this morning, but she sent us this statement. She says, our priority is always Utah students and their families. After school and summer programs play an essential role in supporting learning, safety, and well-being for many children across our state. We're closely monitoring the situation regarding federal funding, and we'll continue working with LEAs, which are local education agencies, and the legislature to support our children, our students and families.
Yeah, and I think we're just seeing the tip of the iceberg on some of this, Holly. I just to digress a little bit, my wife, who works for the federal government and supervises federal public defenders, called me yesterday and said, we just ran out of money.
Oh, gosh.
July 1st. And I do some of that work. You know, we do public defender work, and when people, when the public defender's office can't do it, and it's modest pay. You don't make much money doing it. But she said, you're not going to get paid anymore, but you still have to do the work. I've got trials. I've got everything coming up. But you're like, okay,
but you're not going to get paid.
What are we doing? And that was a surprise to them. And it's sort of the same kind of thing. Well, the money ran out. And I think
the money didn't run out, but they just said, we're not sending it to you. We're going to review. And I'm looking at an article in the New York Times, actually, that has the Russell, is it Vought, the director of the White House Office of Management and Budget. He just said they're looking at ways to claw back funding that has already been allocated. They're calling it the process of rescission, right? If they can, if they can claw back things that they already approved. So one of the things that Ben said to us is that these are for at-risk kids. A lot of these after-school programs, it's kids with English. I think if I remember, Granite School District has students that speak over 100 different languages. We have a lot of students that have come into our state from other countries over a number of years, and a lot of them end up in Granite School District. Like, it's those types of things, people who are on the lower socioeconomic scale, right? People who struggle financially, those types of things. It's those types of programs, but there's also some teacher training, and they're looking at maybe revoking the whole thing, but with very little explanation.
And this is money that's already been allocated.
That is right.
It's money that Congress has already...
That they already promised. Right? That they said, here it is. You can count on it until the day before it was due to be sent out, and then they said, never mind.
But the Department of Education said never mind, seemingly. Yeah. So Congress allocates the money. Department of Education says, "What, we don't need it."
It's technically a freeze, but it could become permanent. That those funds will not be available.
Well, at least I guess if there's any light at the end of the tunnel, according to Ben Horsley, it's for the next year. It's there's some time to try to work this out.
It's the next school year, though, so that starts next month, actually, if you can believe it. So the summer meal program is already underway, and that's already been funded, right? But we're looking at money that they could use coming up pretty quick. But I will say, as we wrap up this segment, the Utah Food Bank, and again, the school meal program during the summer is funded, but the food bank, the Utah Food Bank, and the food pantries around the state, they're there for kids and other people anytime. Right? It doesn't have to be summer. It doesn't have to be, during the school year. It can be anytime. And we know that 1 in 6 Utah children actually depend on breakfast and lunch at school. And so this is a way to supplement families' food budget, basically, but also a way to keep their tummies filled during the summer.
Yet we're a little bit lucky that we live in Utah, because it seems like our state has been in a position, and I'm not committing anybody to anything, that they may be stepping up to the plate and helping some of these kids out. Who knows? Maybe maybe things will get worked out with the Department of Education. We talked earlier about Kilmar Abrego Garcia. He was recently returned to the United States after he was held in that horrible El Salvadoran prison. He was beaten, starved, and subject to psychological torture. We'll talk about what he's done since he's been back.
Held over due to popular demand. This is your opportunity to save up to 40 to 80% on a hot tub or swim spa. This weekend only, Friday through Sunday, Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Be advised, this is your opportunity to save up to 40 to 80% on a hot tub or swim spa. This weekend only, Friday through Sunday, Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. 18-month interest-free financing. Our factories have demanded we sell 1,000 hot tubs and swim spas this weekend. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Huge factory incentives, factory rebates, this weekend only. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. We can remove your old hot tub. Free delivery of your new hot tub. Hot tub starting at $2,999. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Free delivery of your new hot tub. Just relax and enjoy. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Friday, 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. Saturday, 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Sunday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Free admission, free parking, free delivery. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Call 833-SPA-SALE or visit hottubandSwimSpaSale.com.
No, you're not crazy. It is a Thursday, and we do have a movie show today.
But we are still crazy.
But we are live today from My Hearing Centers in Sandy, and we're joined now by Matt Deering. Matt, even though it's a Thursday, we've got some stuff to give away for free.
Well, this is exciting because I don't think we've done this on a Thursday in quite some time, if ever. So
it
first
is a little
time,
bizarre.
Yeah, first time for a long time, if ever.
Yeah. So what are you going to do for the people who are listening on Thursday?
If you are a Thursday listener, you are in luck. We are looking for people who have problems hearing to try the latest technology, the Signia BCTIX. We'll talk about that more later. All you need to do is give us a call right now, schedule a free hearing evaluation in any of our 20 offices up and down the Wasatch Front. During the evaluation, if you're identified as a person with hearing loss, we'll let you try those hearing aids risk-free for 30 days. And at the end of the 30 days, we'll give you a gift card to get some movie tickets as a thank you.
Now, people may notice this weekend as they hang out with family. Yeah, think about the explosions they're going to hear. If you're not hearing the explosions in the sky, that's a clue. But really, the thing that people will notice more is the difficulty in conversation, and especially if there's a lot of background noise.
That's right. You'll probably notice it this weekend if you're at a barbecue or with family and you can't hear, or you see that one person that maybe is asking people to repeat themselves or isn't as engaged as they were before. That person it is high likelihood that they might have hearing loss.
So if everyone's mumbling,
or if they tell everyone's mumbling, or if all the grandkids are mumbling now, it's just kids these days. It's probably time to have your hearing checked. We're going to make it really easy for you. Give us a call, free evaluation, and then you'll be able to try hearing aids risk-free. Also, if you call during the movie show on a Thursday, we're going to give away a set of these hearing aids to one listener who calls and schedules a hearing appointment and attends their appointment. So 1 in 50 people will be in the drawing for a free hearing aid.
And if you complete the appointment but don't win the hearing aids, you're going to give them something else?
Movie tickets.
Ah, love that. All right, here's the number to call to make that appointment. Get in now to make sure that you're entered for that. 801-701-1629. That's 801-701-1629.
It's Jeff Jr. from Trajan Wealth, and I've got something important to talk to you about, your 401k. If you have changed jobs, there are 2 very important considerations. You don't want to leave your 401k behind, and you don't want to roll it over into your new company plan without consulting Trajan Wealth first. 401ks will often have limited investments or age-based options. Since companies have to make choices to suit all employees, they may not be suited to you, which could cost you fees and money. When you roll over your 401k into an IRA, you not only keep your money growing tax deferred, but you also gain access to a world of investment options specifically designed for you. Trajan Wealth and our fiduciary advisors have helped thousands, and we can do the same for you. Call Trajan today at 801-899-7600. 801-899-7600.
Advisory services offered through Trajan Wealth LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor.
Come on, the meeting's already started.
Sometimes it's important.
Last call, boarding gate number 9.
Sometimes it's urgent.
Trip for alarm.
Sometimes it's vital. Hospital treatment within 1 hour of a stroke can prevent lifelong disability. If you notice someone experiencing sudden weakness on one side or having a problem speaking, walking, or seeing, call 911 fast. Stroke. Know the signs. Act in time. A message from the National Institute of Neurological Disorders and Stroke.
The new Inside Sources.
You know, Holly, we talked about the situation here in Utah with the man that was recently deported, or at least taken into custody as he was re-entering the country. It took 48 days to get that cleared up. Even though he was here legally, he had legal status. He had no reason to be deported. He had a couple of minor misdemeanors which don't even get close to the threshold for deportation or removal by the federal government. That was cleared up. The case that we all kind of know about in this country, that we all have been watching closely, is the Kilmer Abrego Garcia matter. He was mistakenly deported to this awful prison in El Salvador. They call it CCOT, and he was told upon his arrival that no one ever leaves here. They told him that as you come back
in. It's like the Hotel California. You can enter, but you can never leave.
You can check out anytime you want, right? Just a little bit about his history. He left El Salvador when he was 16 years old. He was a victim of, ironically, gang violence. He left there to get away from the gangs that people sort of assumed, the administration claimed that he was involved in. Around 2011, he entered the United States illegally. He entered the United States without proper documentation, went to Maryland where he had a brother who was living, and he sort of lived there ever since. He did ultimately, he met a woman, married her, ultimately a U.S. citizen. They had a child together, and in 2019, he was taken into custody by ICE agents, and they had a proceeding there. And the judge there decided that while they were trying to decide his residency and trying to decide what was going to happen with him, he was subject to what's called a withholding of removal. In other words, the judge said he can be deported, and we'll sort that out later and decide if he should be deported, but he cannot be deported to El Salvador.
Right.
The only place on the planet that he could not be deported to
was where they sent him.
Was where he ended up. So was El Salvador, because of he would be subject to gang violence. He would be subject to problems that he'd have there. And so the administration hooks him up, and they deport him to the only place they could, that they could not, rather, which was El Salvador, to this horrible prison. If you recall, he's literally in the airplane. They're flying. There's something like 230 people in the plane, and the judge is like, turn that thing around. You're not going. He ends up going there anyway. And the history of this has gotten worse and worse and worse, if you recall. So he gets there, the trial court judge, the immigration judge rather, says, get him back here. Orders the
Right.
Trump administration to do everything in their power to get him back. The Circuit Court of Appeals affirms that. The Supreme Court said, well, you should facilitate his return. The El Salvadoran president says, hey, he's not your problem anymore. He's mine. Go away.
Yeah.
And then suddenly, recently, I don't know, a couple weeks ago, he's returned.
That's right.
And everyone's like, wait a minute, what's going on here? And he's returned. Our attorney general says, well, returned him because we're indicting him.
Yeah.
He was in a car, 10 or 11 years ago in Tennessee.
Yeah.
There were some people there that were here illegally, and we think he's trafficking individuals, so we're indicting him. It's a arguably a weak case. Who knows? I hate to opine too much on it, but just having read the indictment and whatnot, it's based on a confidential, or at least an informant who's got some skin in the game.
Right. So we've talked about that too. So he has an informant who is facing deportation himself. And now that informant has been released because they basically told the federal government, hey, he was doing this. I know the judge in his case in Tennessee is saying, look, what you're accusing him of, and he had not faced any charges until this point. Right, on this thing in Tennessee.
Correct.
Nothing had happened, and now all of a sudden there's these really serious charges. But the judge in the case said, what you're proposing is literally almost physically impossible. You're saying that he was driving 120 hours a week, and there's like 168 total hours in the week,
doing
right?
all this human trafficking, right?
Right. So what has been happening, right, is there has been some discussion about whether he should be released from jail or actually kept in jail for his own protection so he's not snatched up and deported before he has a chance to actually have due process.
The reason why Abrego's back in the news is because yesterday he filed a lawsuit. This is an interesting lawsuit, Holly, in the District of Maryland, which is where he currently lives, against Kristi Noem, the Secretary of Homeland Security, a number of ICE agents, including their directors, executive directors, Pam Bondi, the Attorney General, and Marco Rubio, the Secretary of State. Now, he's suing them in their professional capacity, not individually, and saying, this is enough. Enough is enough. And this is a 40-page lawsuit. I've been trying to read through it. At its core, he's claiming unlawful arrest. He's claiming unlawful detention, that the government that they essentially violated the due process clause of the Constitution.
Yeah.
He was never given a fair shake. And he's claiming in his request for relief that to find that they violated the Constitution, to find that these individuals, they're in their agency capacity, violated the Fifth Amendment of the Constitution, to restore him to his status quo, which means returning him to Maryland, basically putting him where he was in March of 2025 when all this started, and to issue a writ of habeas corpus. They call it ad testificandum, which means you guys need to come up and testify. And we call it an order to show cause. He's asking that a judge bring in these defendants and show why they shouldn't be held in contempt of court for violating the court's orders.
Wow.
In other words, he wants them called to the table, and just put him back to where he was at square one. He's not asking for $1 million or anything like that. He's not asking for anything except just the cost of his attorney's fees, and whatever he's had to do to get to this point. But it's a lawsuit, a 40-page lawsuit that he filed yesterday in the federal district court for the District of Maryland against these individuals, saying enough is enough. So we keep hearing about him as a defendant, as a person who's subject to the what's happening in the courts. Now he's taken the initiative, which was a little bit surprising, but maybe he felt like he didn't have any choice.
Yeah, I think the thing that stood out to me is that his attorney has talked about what he was subjected to when he was in that prison, right? And he's alleging that when he got there, he was severely beaten. He along with like 90 other inmates were forced to kneel on concrete for 9 hours, starting at 9 p.m. and going till 6 a.m. And if they started to doze off, then they were beaten again. They were deprived of access to toilet facilities. They were subjected to bright lights 24 hours a day, psychological torture. He was told that he would be thrown in with other inmates there who wanted to, quote, tear him apart. He saw other inmates violently hurt each other. He lost 30 pounds in 2 weeks. I mean, this is not a good place. And that's that's kind of the point for a lot of people, that this prison, this mega prison in El Salvador, is a place of torture. And when they say you never leave, they mean it in all the not good ways.
Yeah, and they go through it, and I don't really want to spend too much time on this because it's just gut-wrenching what that prison is like and how he was placed with other inmates and how he was treated when he was there. And like you said earlier, I guess when you check in there, they tell you, hey, you are never getting out of here.
Yep.
He's in with a lot of other inmates. Like you said, kneeling, that makes no sense. They're just on
It's a form of torture.
And they shave their heads. One of the first things you do when you walk in, they shave your head. You sit there and you kneel for, like you say, 9 hours a day. And he said that he soiled himself. He couldn't use any bathroom facilities. I assume that the conditions there are awful. And he's there, and then suddenly he's back. He's back because he's indicted. So
Well, remember, the Trump administration said, well, we can't bring him back. It's out of our hands because he's in a different country. And the president of that country said, well, we can't send him back because you sent him here. And they figured out a way to do it. But he has been saying from day one, I've been wrongfully deported. His family, his wife is like, look, he should not have been deported. And he never got due process. There was such an outcry, I think, that the administration finally said, okay, we're going to bring him back and he can have due process, but now we're going to throw all these new charges at him. But as you mentioned, he has now filed his own lawsuit, and wants the federal government and the people involved in this deportation to be able to answer for themselves.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see where that goes. It's really an interesting read. It's a 40-page lawsuit, which only people like me actually sit down and read.
You are a legal nerd to say. It's so interesting to read 40 pages of court documents.
Yeah, well, this one's interesting. We'll see where it goes, but he's named a lot of people, and he's saying enough's enough, and I think I should get some redress, not the least of which is leave me alone and let me just live my life here in the United States.
Yep.
Just in time for the 4th of July and the 4th of July barbecues, a new study finds that there is no level, Holly, of processed foods that are safe. Surprised?
Bye-bye, hot dogs.
We'll be back.
10:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Heather Peterson. KSL's top local story. UDOT says you could run into some delays today as you head out for the holiday weekend. They're predicting up to an extra 10-minute delay on I-15 in Salt Lake County and on northbound I-15 in Davis County between 2 o'clock this afternoon and 7 o'clock tonight.
If you can get up and leave earlier, if you can leave before the afternoon, great. And even if you can leave later after 7 p.m., that'll help not only you, but it'll help everybody traveling.
UDOT spokesperson Mitch Shaw tells Inside Sources most people should steer clear of delays on Sunday, but on US 6 near Wellington, he says westbound drivers could see delays of 45 minutes or more Sunday afternoon and evening. AAA expects record numbers of people to be traveling for the holiday, but that's not expected to be the case at the Salt Lake City International Airport.
Typically around the holiday period, such as the 4th of July, we do see an uptick in travelers, but it's typically not a record breaker for the 4th of July.
The airport says they're expecting about 30,000 people to be flying out from Salt Lake City during the holiday, so passengers will want to plan a little extra time to get to their gates. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. The House is set to pass the proposed spending bill ahead of the president's July 4th deadline.
The bill would extend and expand the 2017 tax cuts and hugely ramp up spending on border security and immigration enforcement. Republican holdouts dropped their objections overnight. Top House Democrat Hakeem Jeffries used his privilege as minority leader to speak without limit. He railed against the bill for hours.
On behalf of the American people, on behalf of their health care.
The Congressional Budget Office estimates some 12 million Americans could lose their coverage as a result of changes in the bill to Medicaid and the Affordable Care Act. Stephen Portnoy, ABC News, Washington.
And your money at this moment, the Dow is up 349 points, the S&P up 52, and the NASDAQ up 201. Coming up, warm temps but possible thunderstorms this 4th of July. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 10:32.
A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
Our special Thursday movie show coming to you live today from My Hearing Centers in Sandy, where they've got an offer for KSL listeners and especially calling in and scheduling a free appointment during the movie show, Matt, they'll get a free hearing test and then an evaluation of those test results. No charge, no insurance, no copay. They can just come in and find out if they have any hearing loss.
That's correct. And that's only for Thursday listeners of the movie show. So if you try to listen to the movie show tomorrow.
Yeah, no.
Today, though.
But we do recommend you listen to tomorrow's movie show also. But you just don't get this awesome deal.
Yeah, so you got to engage today with the offer by calling 801-701-1629. You'll schedule a free hearing evaluation. At the evaluation, if you're identified as an individual that could benefit from hearing aids, we'll let you try the hearing aids risk-free for 30 days. And at the end of the 30 days, just for doing the evaluation, letting us know how the hearing aids went, we'll give you the gift cards to go get some movie tickets.
Matt, what are some of the lower-end ages of people that you end up needing help?
18 and older.
Really?
Yeah, 18 and older. And what we're seeing is that the average age of a new hearing aid wearer continues to get younger and younger and younger every year. And so,
is it because of the music or
noise exposure? Yeah, because
we didn't have earbuds that went all the way in the ear canal.
That's a good point.
Until just in the last couple decades.
And your different cell phones have the ability to modify how much sound is going into your ears. If you want to do that with your kids, it's probably a good idea. But if you're one that listen to loud music or worked on a loud job or have just been around loud people, it's a good idea to come and have your hearing tested, even if you're in the younger range of your late 30s, early 40s. Have your hearing tested if you think there's a problem. Worst case scenario, we let you know what's going on, give you a little information how to take care of it, and you go home, reschedule it maybe in 2 or 3 years just to make sure things keep going okay.
People go to the doctor for preventative care once a year.
Yep.
Doctor doesn't test hearing. Come in here, get it tested for free. I mean, you check up on all the rest of your body. Why not check on something that ends up, and we'll talk about this as we go along today, some of the things that hearing loss can be linked to down the road that maybe you didn't consider the connection between the two things.
Yeah, we'll go on to all that. But right now, best thing you do, give us a call, get scheduled for the free hearing evaluation, and you'll be put into a drawing for a free set of hearing aids. 801-701-1629.
Here at the Almond Joy Factory, where tropical vibes abound, we use soft, fresh-tasting coconut.
The crunchiest almonds and delicious chocolate candy.
Ah, but do you know what our most important ingredient is? Sometimes you feel like a nut.
Sometimes you don't.
Almond Joy's got nuts and something even way better than that. Yes, Almond Joy is made with almonds and joy.
This message comes from Viking, committed to exploring the world in comfort. Journey through the heart of Europe on an elegant Viking longship with thoughtful service, destination-focused dining, and cultural enrichment on board and on shore. With small ships that bring travelers closer to the destination, there's more time to explore. And every Viking voyage is all-inclusive, with no children and no casinos. Discover more at Viking.com.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Mountain America's Double Rewards credit card promotion. Here's Heather Kelly.
We're starting to see a bit more traffic getting onto the roadways just ahead of the big holiday rush that's expected later this afternoon. So we're seeing some of that heavier traffic out in Tooele County on SR 36, right where it merges onto eastbound I-80. That's in the road construction zone. You only have one lane on both of those roadways, creating slowdowns from time to time. I-15 also just a little bit heavy now as you go through Utah and Salt Lake Valleys, but things still look good I-80 through Parley's Canyon. Fill up your bucket list in Box Elder County. History, recreation, and wildlife and excellent dining and shopping await you. Learn more at visitboxeldercounty.com. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
A high of 88 degrees today with a slight chance for thunderstorms. There's also a chance we see thunderstorms tomorrow as well before the skies start to clear out by Saturday. Right now it's 79 degrees and mostly cloudy. I'm Heather Peterson from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
When I think of the 4th of July, I think of partying in the USA. Go. That's Miley Cyrus. I know her as Hannah Montana.
I know, right?
Yeah, there we go. But it is time to party in the USA. And one thing we do when we party in the USA for the 4th of July, Holly, we like to have our hamburgers and we like to have our hot dogs. And I mean, I really love a good hot dog.
You look like the 4th of July. It makes me want a hot dog real bad.
That's from Legally Blonde. Now, hot dog, I'm going to have one this weekend, Holly, but you're telling me maybe that's not the best thing for my health.
Look, so I'm not a huge fan of hot dogs, but on the 4th of July or around the 4th, and especially if you can cook them outside, they taste a lot better. I'll have hot dogs, but there's a new study. In fact, it was just published this week, and it says that they're saying there's no safe amount of processed meat to eat. So that does include hot dogs. That also includes sausage. It includes like bologna, all the same kind of things, right, where things are highly processed.
So I'm going to have it anyway. I'm going to have a Chicago dog. I'm going to put other things on it. So I'll get all the healthy food. The hot dog's just a very small part of it. You know, you can get the peppers and the onions and the mustard and everything else.
Right? I mean, who wants a plain hot dog?
Who cares about the
my
hot
dog
dog?
actually would like a plain hot dog. This is one of the things that the study did. So it actually is looking at 60 previous studies, and they're looking. So it's called a meta study, but it's looking at the relationship between processed meat, sugar sweetened beverages, trans fatty acids, and then the risk of type 2 diabetes, some kinds of cancer, and heart disease. And what they're saying is, look, we find if you eat as little as one hot dog a day, and let me just tell you, that sounds like a lot of hot dogs because I probably eat fewer than 4 in an entire year. But if you eat a hot dog a day, you have an 11% greater risk of type 2 diabetes. Anyway, and we've talked recently about another study that says if you drink your sugar, like if you're drinking sugary soda, it's a lot worse for you than if you're consuming it from natural sources like fruit. Right. So what they're saying is all the stuff that makes a July 4th holiday great, the sugary drinks, the sugary drinks, the hot dogs, not good for you.
Okay, Holly. You're being a downer, and that's not like you at all. You got the 4th of July nails and everything. You've been getting in Christmas,
blue,
the 4th
red,
of July.
and white. Today I'm in white.
This going right. So some things you could be aware of if you want to go see fireworks this weekend. There's the Provo Freedom Festival. That's actually starts today.
I think that's the granddaddy one of them all in Utah, right? Parade tomorrow morning, hot air balloons, all those things.
Yeah, hot air balloon at 6 a.m. Parade tomorrow from 9 a.m. This is at the 1100 North Freedom Boulevard, which is basically downtown Provo.
Yep.
The grand parade starts, like I say, in the morning. It looks like it's free. There's some tickets if you want to go to the stadium and watch that. I think they call it the Stadium of Fire.
That's right.
That's always fun. There was some mishap last year, but I think they've got everything under control now. I'm not being a downer about that. The Ute Indian Tribe Powwow is very unique. This is the Ute Indians are hosting a powwow. The Native American tradition will be brought forward. Celebration of dancing, arts, crafts, and food. That's at Fort Duchesne in Uinta County within the Uinta and Ouray Indian Reservation. That's tomorrow from 4 to 7, free to the public. That would be a lot of fun. That would be something to take the kids to. I mean, that would be really exciting.
There's a Patriotic Pops concert, and this one is at the Sandy Amphitheater. It's free, but they have the American West Symphony and Chorus doing music to the fireworks, and I've really enjoyed it when you do shows like that. Outside food's allowed in. You can go and sit on the lawn and watch fireworks and listen to music at the same time.
Heber City celebrates the 4th of July every year in the water. The event goes all day and includes music performances, food, socializing, stand-up paddleboarding. Have you ever tried that?
Nope.
Don't try this at home. My wife bought me a stand-up paddleboard. It's still in the box. And that's tomorrow, Saturday throughout the day at Jordanelle State Park. Beautiful facility. The Freedom Celebration at Thanksgiving Point in Lehigh. That starts tomorrow at 10 p.m. That must be fireworks. Yeah, large fireworks displays.
There's a Bees game too. Yep.
At the new stadium.
Yeah, at the new stadium down south. South Jordan.
I haven't been there yet, but that's something I want to go to. You know, we talked about sort of nostalgia yesterday, doing away with the old Bees Stadium, but the new one, it's something I absolutely have to go see.
They'll have a game and fireworks at the end, right? So lots of places you can watch fireworks.
Yeah. Murray Fun Days, Murray Park. That's where I used to live close by to. Parade begins at Fashion Place Mall, ends at Murray Park. There's a concert at the softball field. Fireworks at Murray Park tomorrow night. That's always fun. You can see those from everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah, so my own city, Pleasant Grove, they're doing one fireworks display, and Salt Lake City has one, of course. They have activities starting at the Gateway. And St. George, of course. There's lots of stuff all over the state, right? And if you remember, we had a conversation yesterday with the state fire marshal. Maybe it was the day before, but he said, please be smart with fireworks. If you can, just go watch the professional ones, but remember that you want to keep all of your fingers this weekend, and please don't light the state on fire.
Yeah, close. There are so many on here. I shouldn't have even started this, but one of the areas where I'll be close to is by Richfield. The city of Richfield has a big park thing tomorrow night. I might just buzz over to that. Blanding, Brigham City, Cedars. I mean, they're in alphabetical order, so it
right,
goes
all
forever.
over the state.
Everybody's got something going. Fireworks will be fun. But you know what we've talked about all week? The fire hazards, the problems that we have, and the safety issues.
And to be safe. There's also, just as we wrap up this segment, but there are a lot of people with pets, and the 4th of July can actually be pretty scary for animals. In fact, I had a friend one time who had a pet outside on a leash, and he got himself wrapped up and ended up passing away from being scared of these fireworks. So veterinarians in the state are saying, hey, look, keep him inside. Sometimes if they take off running because they hear the fireworks, they can be found miles.
Yeah, they can go
miles.
Forever.
These little
that's
cute
true.
Little things.
And traffic, be aware, there are going to be 10-minute delays on top of the normal delays this afternoon going south on I-15, going north on I-15. Get on the road a little bit early. Listen to a podcast. That's what I'm going to do.
You went to Triangle.
You went to Triangle. Listen to KSL Radio. There's a lot to do. If
you can even listen to us on podcast format.
chilling while you're stuck in traffic. It is our Friday today. It's only Thursday, but our Friday usually means a shortened show, and it also means that the last hour will be the movie show.
That's right.
So we're going to come back with the movie show and the big movie of the week. This one's interesting. Actually, one that I'll probably see. We'll be joined by our movie show hosts when we come back after the break. Stay with us.
Transform your old, outdated kitchen with Half Price Granite. For a limited time, Half Price Granite is offering special pricing for a summer sale, starting at $20 per square foot installed. That's lower than most big box stores. These prices are some of the lowest around. Granite, quartz, marble, and quartzite, all starting at $20 per square foot installed. Call 801-486-1700 or visit halfpricegranite.com. Half Price Granite, affordable luxury.
It's the movie show, guys. Andy Farnsworth and Steve Sales. Yes, on a Thursday.
What?
And we're also going to have a movie show tomorrow, too. But today, we're at My Hearing Centers in Sandy. They've got locations all up and down Utah, Matt. And that's important because of the deal that you guys are offering today. If you call during the movie show and set up an appointment with My Hearing Centers to get your hearing checked, first of all, the best part, Matt, is it doesn't cost anything.
It doesn't cost. Well, I mean, your carrier rates apply.
Okay. Hopefully, you've got unlimited talk and text.
That's right. But giving us a call, scheduling your free hearing evaluation. At the end of the evaluation, if you are identified as a person with hearing loss, we're going to let you try the hearing aids risk-free for 30 days because we want your feedback. That's why we're doing it.
31 days hath July. Can you give them 31 if they make the appointment?
Don't do it.
I'll give them 35. I'll give them I'll give them 45 if it's going to help them. Help us more. It's not so much about the time frame. I mean, we can figure that out. It's that we just really want you to take the hearing aids with you and engage in your normal activity, whether it's going on vacation on a cruise, taking them to your different events, getting ready for back to school stuff, whatever that is for you, or hopefully if you get in now, we can get you on in any of your 24th of July celebrations. We're probably going to miss the 4th of July, seeing that's tomorrow. But if you get in now, we'll get you ready for your 24th of July celebrations as well.
But one thing that you may notice as to why you may want to get your hearing evaluated is if at your 4th of July get-togethers you're struggling to hear, understand, or if you're noticing, as you've mentioned, someone being more withdrawn than usual.
Yeah, any of those things are signs of hearing loss. If you're turning up the television too loudly, if you're giving silly answers to questions and not realizing until after there's a little laughter because that you missed what was said, how the question was. Those can all be embarrassing. That's actually one of the reasons why hearing loss can lead to depression. It can lead to anxiety. Don't let that happen to you. Take control of your life again. Come have your hearing evaluated and try the hearing aids risk-free for 30 days. you're probably going to love them. So fair warning, you're probably going to want to keep them.
Okay, and there's a My Hearing Center close to wherever you are. So call and make that appointment, 801-701-1629. Remember, you got to do it between now and 1 o'clock to take advantage of this offer, 801-701-1629.
My perfect day has sand, salt water, and friends. But my moderate to severe plaque psoriasis can take me out of the moment. Now I'm all in with clearer skin thanks to Skyrizi. Risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection for adults who are candidates for systemic or phototherapy. With Skyrizi, most people saw 90% clearer skin, and many were even 100% plaque-free at 4 months. Skyrizi is just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions, increased infections, or lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, get checked for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor about any flu-like symptoms or vaccines.
Thanks to Skyrizi, there's nothing on my skin, and that means everything. Ask your doctor about Skyrizi, the #1 dermatologist-prescribed biologic in psoriasis. Visit Skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKYRIZI to learn more.
An emergency can happen any second. Here's a few seconds to think about where you'd go. When you need medical care fast, the closest emergency room is a smart thing to know. Common Spirit Health ERs are your direct path between feeling scared or uncomfortable and feeling better. Find emergency care in your neighborhood at mountain.commonspirit.org.
Market volatility isn't slowing down. If you're nearing retirement, now is not the time to wait and see. Every day of uncertainty can put your future at risk. It's time to diversify. I'm Jeff Jr. with Trajan Wealth, and I want you to know you can create certainty, locking in guaranteed income for life. This means predictable, stable cash flow, even in turbulent times. You've worked too hard to leave your retirement to chance. Right now, there are options to receive up to 30% upfront or annual growth of up to 10% for retirement income. That's up to $30,000 upfront or up to $10,000 per year on $100,000, all guaranteed for retirement income. Don't wait. Call Trajan today at 801-899-7600. 801-899-7600.
Annuity guarantees are based on the claims paying ability of the issuing insurance company. Any examples provided are hypothetical. Annuities are issued with prospectus and sales brochures and should be reviewed carefully before funding as features and benefits vary. DBA in most states as Trajan Wealth Insurance Solutions.
Get in the zone, AutoZone. Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? Hey, that's the spirit. Right now, we're celebrating free with a free STP oil filter when you buy 5 quarts of oil and free Duralast brake pads when you buy 2 rotors. Like always, free battery testing, charging, and recycling at every store. Celebrate free at AutoZone, now through July 28th. Get in the zone, AutoZone. Restrictions apply. Get in the zone, AutoZone. John always listens to his truck. So when his brakes start talking, he goes to AutoZone, where a helpful AutoZoner gets him the right parts. If John has time to put them in, he borrows a kit with Loan-A-Tool. And if he doesn't, he gets a free shop referral. No hassles, just help. Everything you need, nothing you don't. Get in the zone, AutoZone. Deposit required for Loan-A-Tool. Restrictions apply.
It's a dinosaur.
It's also a giveaway time, so we want to give away more movie tickets. Text the word Dino, D-I-N-O, or Dinosaur, D-I-N-O-S-A-U-R, to 57500.
And we'll pick a winner every hour until the movie show starts.
Winners will receive a gift card to see Jurassic World at Fat Cats Theater.
And winners will also get a family pack of tickets to the Prehistoric Museum in Price.
So be sure to listen for a review of Jurassic World Rebirth during a special movie show today at 11:05, starting shortly, and at Andy and Steve's usual time on Friday at 11:05 at Fat Cats.
Inside Sources.
Okay, Holly, it is the last segment of the last show of the week. We are not having a show tomorrow, so I need you to tell me what our fun fact of the day is.
All right, I think it should be a national holiday. It is air conditioning day. So I'm grateful for air conditioning every single day.
Can I tell you my not fun fact about air conditioning?
Sure.
We have 2 electric cars. you cannot plug in your electric cars at the same time and run your air conditioning because we blew up the whole house the other day. So those of you that are trying to do something smart with electric cars, don't plug them in and have your air conditioning running at the same time, or nothing works.
Right.
Nothing
I have a
at all.
personal story about air conditioning. And in Utah, we also have things called swamp coolers because we live in a desert, right?
Right.
So that is basically water, like blowing air over water, and it like cools the house. Well, I was pregnant with my youngest. This is 30 years ago, and it was a super, super hot summer. He was born in August, and it was 106 degrees the day that he was born. But I just remember laying directly under the swamp cooler trying to survive that summer because it did not cool the whole house, right? It's like I laid in the hallway. So now I'm super grateful for air conditioning that covers my entire house.
We called those evaporative coolers.
Yes,
because
that's right.
what made them cold. Speaking of which, let's talk about our big movie of the week, Jurassic World Rebirth. We have Andy Farnsworth and Steve Sales with us. Tell us, what's up with this one? Is this another in the series?
Yeah, this is the seventh
one
in the Jurassic Park / World Series. And, I personally think nothing will ever surpass the original. The original was so unique. So, I mean, it spawned a 7-film franchise.
They're all playing for second.
They really are. But I also feel like this is the first one in a while that's come close to the first one. I really enjoyed it. I watched it with my 12-year-old son, and
He's pick it apart?
No, actually. Okay, so this is going to sound weird, but
because he's pretty good at that.
He is, and he's a big fan of Godzilla, and he watched all the Jurassic Park movies on his own to get ready. Because I told him, I was like, son, you're the only one I was considering. I was like, you're the only one I'm considering for this. His twin sister was the only kid I considered to go to the Lilo and Stitch screening, and he was on Jurassic World from the moment I knew it was coming out. So we sat there together, and this is where I thought was fun about the movie, because there's no ties specifically to any of the other movies. There's no characters that cross over.
Yeah,
It's a
true.
fresh start. It was the first time since maybe the original that you're like, we were kind of whispering to each other, all right, who do you think is not going to make it out alive from this movie? Because there's going to have to be some tension. And so it was fun. We were like, okay, do you think he or she, you think they're going to make it out? And there was times where I was having fun not knowing who was going to survive. I figured ScarJo was probably pretty safe, Scarlett Johansson.
Sure.
But everybody else, it was on the table.
Fair game.
Okay, Steve, I have to ask you this, because I've only seen the first one, and the graphics were incredible. We've come a long way. That was probably, I don't know, 15, 20 years ago.
93.
That's
32.
32
gosh.
years ago. There
Wow.
you go. That's the only one I've
That's
seen.
a long
So,
franchise.
How far have they come with the special effects?
Well, you're right. That first scene where you first see that one jump up in the trees and they're all looking up.
Right.
I had never seen anything like that, and the audience that I watched it with were just absolutely amazed. And they can do anything now, and so they're not as thrilling as they used to be. But this still, I thought, Andy makes a great point. These are all new characters, even though the behind-the-scenes guys are some of the originals, like Spielberg and the writer David Koepp and Frank Marshall's the producer. The behind-the-scenes guys were the old school, and the new kids on the block were the characters, and they checked a lot of boxes, I thought, in this movie. And some people are like, it's just a rehash, man.
So if it's kind of a standalone, what's the story premise here? What are we looking at?
So it does take place after the last 3 movies, and at this point, the dinosaurs learned that the reason they went extinct is they can't live in snow and things like that. So the dinosaurs that have survived have all migrated to the equator, where it's closest to the conditions. And so the equator is now basically a no-travel zone for the rest of humanity. And they need a team to go in and extract some dinosaur blood. And that's what Scarlett Johansson's team is going in to do, is to get some dinosaur blood. So that's the premise behind all this. They have to go to this island, the island of misfit dinosaurs. And a family has gone sailing in the ocean, and they get disabled and end up on the island as well. So there's a little bit going on.
There's 2 groups now.
Yeah, and that's I don't want to give away anything for people who are really concerned about spoilers, but that's the basic premise.
Yeah.
What's a safe age group for this one? Do I take the grandkids?
How old's your youngest grandkids that you'd be thinking about?
And what have they watched before?
Yeah, that's another important thing.
They watch Disney movies, and they're
that
like
might be a problem.
4 or 5 years old.
So this actually brings me to one of my sort of complaints that we'll go into more depth in the movie show. Is there's a kid like a 10-year-old kid character.
The
and she's
little
got
girl,
like
yeah.
a little kid dinosaur that starts following her around. So there'll be that can kind of help the younger kids to feel less scared, I guess, maybe. But that, to me, was a little bit of a distraction from whatever they were trying to do with the rest of the movie. So that was one of my sort of ish complaints. But I would go 10. I usually try not to say, I mean, unless you know your kid really well or your grandkid really well, I say 8 to 10
If
is
they've
probably.
seen one of these Jurassic Park movies, then they should be okay.
Yeah, no, there wasn't anything in it that's not in another Jurassic Park movie.
So we're gonna run out of time really quick. But what's our question of the week?
Well, our question of the week, in honor of a special 40th anniversary that we'll tell you about on the movie show, is what film do you consider a cinematic masterpiece?
Well, I have to pick the Lord of the Rings trilogies. So I love the backdrop. I love how all the things that they created, and it's one of my favorites. I haven't been to New Zealand at all, but when I go, I've got to go check out the movie set there.
And mine, I don't even know the name of it, but it was a
absolute masterpiece.
Yeah, it was an absolute masterpiece.
It was brilliant.
But it was this cinematic thing that they did over the Tour de France. I used to race bicycles, and they had these helicopters and drones, and they followed the Tour de France through all these beautiful venues, and I don't know if it was really a movie as much as it was but I saw it at a movie theater, and it was just incredible.
Oh, that's cool.
Apparently didn't
You should see F1 though, Greg.
Yeah, I know.
It's a race.
After last week, yeah, you told me about
And it
that.
really does look good on the big screen. And we're talking camera angles and cinematic type things that you were just talking about.
And I can't wait for F2. That's really
Formula One.
Okay.
Sorry.
You guys, what is your favorite? You have 20 seconds.
Steve?
Oh, well, we're talking about it today. Jurassic Park is a classic movie that everyone is trying to duplicate but can't so far.
And nobody's going to agree with me on this, but I think The Mask of Zorro is a cinematic masterpiece. I feel like it hits. It is the definition of
Wow,
what
everybody's
a
laughing.
movie. I told you I was going to get some grief for this, but to me, it's a perfect movie.
Yeah, Catherine Zeta-Jones.
Stay with KSL News Radio for a special Thursday movie show with Andy and Steve.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
11 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Claire Scott. KSL's top story this hour. The Supreme Court will take up a new case about states' bans on transgender student athletes. The lawsuits challenging the bans are out of Idaho and West Virginia.
In both places, federal appeals courts struck down or at least put on hold these bans.